In today's YouTube video, I am going to tell you the answer to a question that I get asked all the time in regards to posture and exercise. As you know, we need to be having good posture in order to do an exercise correctly and not have these aches and pains with the exercise. So the first common confusion point is, what does it really mean to keep your core tight? How many times have you heard a physical therapist, a personal trainer, a friend say, when you're doing this exercise, keep your core tight? A lot of people don't know what that means. Keeping your core tight means tightening your ab muscles. And it's not so much that you're crunching down where you're arching your back, but it's just making your stomach muscles taut, almost as if someone were to punch you in your stomach. As you see that punch coming, what do? You kind of flex and crunch down your stomach. It doesn't need to be so much that you're making that movement, but just a little bit of tightness. That's what it means to keep your core tight. The second point that a lot of people get confused with is how to keep your back straight during an exercise. And I actually got this question on one of my former YouTube videos in regards to stretching your hamstrings. So I'm going to use that as an example first and then show you a couple of other examples too, because it is really important to understand the difference between flexing forward and keeping your back straight versus arching your back. One of the most common exercises that I get the question of how do I keep my back straight as I move forward is with a hamstring stretch. So I'll show you from the side, and just note you should never use a chair that has wheels on it. This just happens to be the chair closest to me right now. For a hamstring stretch, you want to poke one leg out there, keep your back flat, and hinge forward. And the question often is, well, how do I do that? How do I keep my back flat and hinge forward? And I think the reason that question arises is because when most people hinge forward, they arch their back and round down. That is very common. But if you can realize that keeping your back flat and hinging from your hips are two different movements that you can do both at the same time. You can either hinge and arch, or hinge and keep your back flat. So that's what we're doing. Yes, I'm leaning forward, but my back is flat. When you're in this position, you can effectively get a good hamstring stretch. If you're arching, you won't get as much of a stretch, and it could also bother your back. The second most common exercise that people have difficulty understanding how to keep their back flat is a squat. And I think with this exercise, the confusion comes with the fact that people think keeping your back flat means keeping it up straight and upright, and that is not true. Again, you can separate the two different mechanisms. So with a squat, what you're generally told is you want your feet to be hip width apart, your butt goes back, keep your back flat as you bend forward. Now, same thing as the seated hamstring stretch. You're hinging forward, but my back is still flat. And you bend from there and then stand up. So if you're looking at my back right now, you'll see that it's staying flat. It's not hunching forward. This would be rounding my back. This is a flat back and up. It is, I'm pretty sure, impossible to do a squat with keeping your back upright. Flat does not mean this. If you were to do that, you either fall back or you're really going to hurt your knees because your knees are way over your toes. And yes, my back is flat, but it's also flat here. So make sure that you're able to hinge while keeping your back flat instead of rounding it. The last example I have for you where people get pretty confused on how to keep a back flat is with walking. So many people who have multiple sclerosis, as well as other weaknesses and instability, will walk hinged forward at the waist, which generally looks something like this. You're hinged forward and maybe you have a cane in one hand and you're walking like this. And your loved ones or friends and family are saying, stand up straight, straighten your back. When in reality, if you're walking like this, your back is flat. Or maybe you don't have an assistive device. But if you have this posture, your back is flat. So when your loved ones are saying to stand up straight, flatten your back, the stand up straight is accurate, but your back is already flat. You do not need to change that. This is actually more indicative of hamstring and glute weakness because your back is flat, but your hips are poking out. So you need to strengthen your glutes and your hamstrings in order to get you up straight. But your back muscles are actually pretty strong because they're staying flat and not letting gravity overcome your position, which would cause you to slouch. There are so many exercises that you can do to strengthen your back muscles so that you can keep it flat, as well as strengthening exercises to tighten your core in the Missing Link. The Missing Link is my online program that will help you get stronger, get better balance, improve your flexibility, and walk better, even though you have a progressive disease like multiple sclerosis. Oh, and you might like some of these videos too. YouTube seems to think that they're perfect for you, so go ahead and check those out.